Have you ever thought, am I in the right place? And if I'm not, where do I want to be? Or where do I want to be in life? What do I want to do? Well, these are questions that we're going to be exploring in today's tangent episode. We're going to have a quick focus on career choices and the mentality of choosing a career if you're at the beginning, the importance of a career change or a career hiatus, and the general mindset that you should strive for when making career choices in general, the skills that you require and the skills that you want to aim for. As a disclaimer, this is based on my experience and what I've learned from others. It's not a professional or career advice, it's just snippets of my story. So let us begin. Career choices. I chose my first career path many years ago, about 15 years ago. I decided to go on a laboratory science based career. At the time, that was something that really inspired me, and I wanted to strive to work in product development and process development. So I've gone for that career path. Eventually, 5 years down the line, I've landed my dream job in a company that has worked with a lot of well-renowned names, and I've got to learn from them. I've got to learn from a lot of professionals. And I worked in other companies as well that they have helped develop my career prospects. Now, how did I do that? And what did I do in between and before? So I've done my studies and I've learned the theory and the general knowledge that would have to be applicable into the industries that I've went for. Higher education and education in general, they provide you with a general frame that can be applied to your career. It's not a step-by-step guidance to what to do X, Y, and Z. It just showcases general kind of skill sets and theories that you can apply, which you're going to develop according to the workplace that you're in. For example, if you're learning general computer science, you may not necessarily learn how to develop a game like Minecraft, for example. That will have to be specialized into one of the studios that work on this game. And if you work at Mojang Studios, and you'll find that a lot of the skills that you're learning are applicable specifically for this game and for this type of games. However, there are some other skills that you're learning, and we're going to briefly discuss them later on, which are called transferable skills. My story began when I was 15, and yeah, I've chosen my career path. And there's an important thing to when you choose a career path when you are that young. Do not let others persuade you. Always do what you're interested in, because that way you're going to have a more natural evolution. And if that learning initiative comes from you, I don't know, a quarter of the way there, because nobody else is pushing you from behind to learn what they deem to be useful. And to give you an example, there's a lot of young people who go for careers like medicine, law, and there was another one, I believe, business, just because their parents are telling them to do so, because their parents want to save face in front of others. But if you don't feel like it, don't do it. Simple as that. If you are an artist, do not, and I emphasize on this, do not give up on that dream, regardless of how many people tell you how stupid it is and that you're not going to land a real job. We need artists more than anything nowadays. And yes, it is a hard career path. Everybody says their own career paths are hard, but I'm not an artist. I'm an artist as a hobby, not as a profession. But I've met people who are very good and they give up on that because they want to land the proper job and then they're not interested in it and their mental health has to suffer. And a lot of people are throwing shade saying that, oh, why do we need artists? We have AIs. No, we need artists more than anything. We need artists like air. All this AI stuff, as much as it is useful, it comes to a detriment because AI is not unlimited and they cannot put that emotion, that human emotion, although it can emulate, it can never generate emotions. And those emotions that we feel from AI art and stuff like that, it is just something that the AI has been trained on, and it's just a response from our side. So think about it when you think that, if you think that an AI might have some human emotions that is capable of. Always remember that it can emulate, not generate emotions. Now, back to what I was talking about. Choose something that you are interested in. And that way you probably half of the battle is already won. Not half, but about a quarter of the battle is already won. Then apply to colleges or professional schools that can help you enhance those skill sets that you need for your future career. If you can learn something by yourself and you don't need a qualification in a certain domain, like if you want to become a barista, for example, a professional barista, because trust me, you can become a professional barista. And I do have a lot of respect for baristas because they're awesome people. For a thing like that, don't consider going to university. I know there's countries where they use college as in place for university, but we're going to stick to the general knowledge here of the world and just use university as the higher education, the one that you persuade after you turn 18 or older. Now, if you did find a career that requires you to go to university, like engineer, sciences, law, medicine, and so on, then go for it. Find a good one. And if you don't have the budget or the grades necessary for a good one, because in college and high schools, you still get taught like general knowledge. I mean, general knowledge. There are some high schools that even teach, I don't know, things like history when you need a degree in science. So they apply to a broader audience. A university is going to specialize you a bit further, but then it comes down to you to enhance those skills that you get from the university. Again, general skills that you get from university, but which you can apply into a specific industry. That's the difference there. Okay, so now you have applied for university, got accepted. And just another point before we move on, you can learn a lot of good stuff from low budget universities as long as you are a good student and you put in the work. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you didn't go to Harvard or to, I don't know, Cambridge, or give me a well-renowned university, and you went to the local whatever university that only appeals to people who can't afford the big ones. So what? Still have qualified teachers. You still get some knowledge from it. And like, I didn't go to a well-renowned university, but I have competed and won against people who studied at are quality universities compared to the one that I went to. My point is that it all comes down to you, how strong you are as an individual in terms of studying and learning a new skill set, how resilient you are against stress, and the resources that you have. There will be some obstacles in the way that might hinder your progress, but trust me, they're only going to make you stronger. What I mean by that, university life, the beginning, it's all bells and whistles and it's all fun and games, but then you hit probably the first 3 months of the first year and you're like, oh, money's running low. I'm not really doing that well. I don't think this is for me. But then you have two choices. One, and that's kind of the easier one, rethink everything and drop out, give up and try something else. There's nothing wrong with that. I sometimes wish I would have done it. However, what you can also do is reevaluate yourself, take a step back and think why you started it. Always ask yourself that famous question, why? Why am I doing this? Is this the right thing for me? Then you can think about how and when and who. But first think about why you're doing what you're doing, what you're studying, the subject that you're interested in, and so on. Talking about obstacles, you might need to find a part-time job, you might need to deal with stress, you might need to pull off all-nighters, but that will ultimately only contribute to your overall success. In the meanwhile, work hard, study harder, and don't forget to have fun as well, because if you bury yourself in books, that's not good for your brain. Trust me, been there, done that. And I've gone to the other extreme as well, where I didn't actually care about something that I deemed that wasn't useful for me. And then I ended up working with that specific discipline for about a year. And I had to relearn everything and relearn on the job as well. But that was on me. Follow Maslow's hierarchy of needs always, because you cannot be focused when you're on an empty stomach. What I mean by that, if you're out partying, try not to overstep the boundaries of your budget. Always think of ways to organize the budget, but that will be a discussion for another day. Don't forget to rest. If you're drinking caffeine, make sure that you're not overstepping your limits. Be disciplined in that regard as well. Find an overall balance in terms of physical health and mental health, because those are the main things that you have a somewhat control over. And some people might argue that you have full control over your mental and physical health, and that your actions are going to dictate your overall health in long term. But that is not the point of today. Okay, so you took care of mental physical health, you are on a good budget, you have a healthy schedule, you're doing well in university. Now what's next? In some places they offer this kind of years of practice, experience exchange and stuff like that. I'm not sure how it is in the United States. Once again, I'm not from there, I'm from Europe, so this is going to be from a European perspective. But I believe there's a lot of applicable things in the United States or Philippines or wherever it might be from. There are some companies that work in collaboration with universities to gain students to teach them what's their industry like. And usually these students, they land a job straight away after they graduate. I'm a living example of that. So that usually happens before your final year of university, before you do your big research and before you get the big grade and that diploma that everybody strives for. So what's next? I'd recommend you to go and apply for a year of experience, because that would only help you. And that way you can check the temperature of the industry that you're interested in. And again, that's another pivot point that can make or break your decision in terms of staying in that career or wanting to change something. Some people would only stay there because they're like, oh, I've wasted 2 years of my life learning and studying and working hard for this. Why should I stop here? Well, that's simple, because if the glove don't fit, it won't fit. Simple as that. There are people who realize only after 10 years that what they are studying and what they are working in is not for them. And that's not a bad thing. Thankfully, we kind of live in a day and age where we're not stuck to the old ways, so to say. What I mean by that is a lot of people have a choice over their careers. Yes, there are people still who don't have a choice but to work hard, because they haven't had the chance to be where they wanted in life, or they're lacking the motivation, or they're lacking the resources, or simply they're just not interested in studying and they think it's not for them. They're talking badly about people who do, but that's another story. Okay, so you've decided that this career path is for you. We're going to split this decision into two. Let's talk about what happens when you are actually interested in what you're doing. Well, you'll follow a career path, you're going to evolve, and you're going to retire and live happily ever after. Don't forget about your human needs as well. Connection, having a family, the need to help others and help your community, to integrate yourself, to spend some quality time with those around you. because that's important. We are social animals and we should strive for our and our group's success. And that would mean in any aspects of life. Okay, so you lived a happy life in your current career. Let's talk about what happens if your career is not for you. Well, this can be divided into maybe 2 or 3 sub chapters here. If it's not for you and you decided this early in the career, then the process is a bit more simple because you're still on the safety net of your family, especially if you're a young adult and if you have a healthy relationship with your family. But even if you don't, there's ways to pick yourself up and try to find better ways to improve your life. But probably that's going to be but I'm going to be touching that briefly in the second point of this discussion, and maybe that's going to be a discussion for another day. So let's say that you're under the safety net of your family, you're about 20 years old, you have a quick discussion with your parents saying that, look, mom and dad, I don't think this medicine field is for me. I don't want to be a nurse, or I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to work in IT because I'm interested in X, Y, and Z, and I believe this is a better suited career for me. If they understand, they're going to support you and you're going to get through that decision-making process a bit quicker. Now, if you don't have family support and you are by yourself, because I've met cases, I'm not going to give specific names, or I'm just going to give the story in general that can be applicable to everybody. There was a dude in my university. He wasn't interested in doing computer science, for example, but he was very, very clean and he was very, very organized. And he started working as a librarian. And that's what made him happy. And he didn't have his family support. He didn't care. That was actually quite a relief for him. And he was doing quite well. And if you don't have family support or a safety net, try to make yourself one. Even if it means mopping floors for a living, for a year or a few months while you are working on your own stuff, like doing your designs or doing your I don't even starting a YouTube channel. A YouTube channel requires a lot of work, and I didn't really believe this before I started this channel, but yes, it is a lot of work, and I do have a lot of scheduling problems that are going to be coming up. But that's not. This is not about me. Let's get back on track. So let's say you want to start your YouTube channel, but I don't know, you're a musician and you want to showcase your songs on YouTube. There's a lot of things that you need to think about, like learning musical theory, testing what sounds good, learning some sound design as well, learning composition, mixing, and investing in equipment. That requires money. And how do you make money? Well, you might need to flip burgers for a living, which is not a shame. As a bit of another semi-tangent here, I do have a lot of respect for people who are working fast foods or hospitality or retail and stuff like that. I'm always polite to them because I know they are working very, very hard. And maybe, always be nice. This is a reminder, be nice to them, because that might be an artist that you might listen to at some point and you'll be like, yeah, I kind of like that song. I wish I would have done the same. Well, they've done it because they knew what it meant for them, and they knew that they had to have the discipline to keep going and keep pushing. Let's continue on with where we left off. Okay, so you're a young musician and you're working, you're flipping burgers and mopping floors. What's next? You invest in your first equipment, you're going to get through a lot of burnouts, and you realize it's going to take a while, but you're still passionate about it. You don't want to give up on it because you already gave up on something that you were doing in the first place, your computer science degree, which wasn't for you, or your medicine field or whatever. If you're still passionate about it, again, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I sacrificing so much for this? Is it because of money? If that's the main answer, that why you are doing is, stop. Stop. Yes, money will come. but do it for yourself. Do it for the passion that burns within you. Do it for that creative aspect of your brain. Do it for yourself. I've always wanted to do YouTube, and I think I spoke about it briefly, but I'm not doing it for the money. Yes, it might come, whatever, 40 cents here and there, which, by the way, I haven't achieved that level yet. So this YouTube channel is actually eating more money than I'm actually making, and I'm not making any. So, if money was my answer, I would have been like, oh, like, this is not making any money after a month, and I'm putting so much work, so many hours into it. Why should I keep doing it? I'm like, nah, just do it because I want to do it. I like it, and I've always wanted to do it, and that's my main reason to do it. And I want to create a community, and I want to make friends and reach to more people who might be on the same kind of mindset like me. So yeah, money will come, and I believe Gordon Ramsay once said, work as an apprentice for a few years, don't think about money, work on like low level jobs, or whatever, as an assistant and so on, because money will come. Put your heart into it and money will come. So don't really worry about it too much, unless you're an investor and you're putting, like, that's your passion, that's your main thing. But that's another story, and I'm not financially versed to discuss finances. So you kept doing it. Let's say 1 year goes down and you're creating music. There's going to be creations, and there's going to be a lot of downfalls and a lot of uplifts from your new music career that is very much at the beginning, is not generating anything. But at some point you might be like, oh, let me show some of my samples to the local clubs around me. Maybe they're going to take me into consideration. And most of the time it happens, through connection, through networking, that happens. Here's a bit of a side note here. If you're an artist, always make sure that you have a portfolio ready. If you're applying for jobs, it's always important to have work ready. For example, if I'm going to be able to afford to hire an editor, they will have to have a portfolio ready for me, just so I know that we are sharing the same or similar vision, or if they can improve on my work. Because again, this is like a business. YouTube is like a business, and a lot of people don't see it that way, or they don't treat it that way. And when you're treating your hobby as a business, what you have to keep in mind is that you're going to put in a lot of work into it, and you're going to lose a lot of money. But what kind of blurs the line between a hobby and a business is the fact that you are putting your passion into it. And I see a lot of people losing that passion over years, but but equally I see a lot of people who are not losing that passion over years. So it's up to you, depending on what kind of person you are, and what goals you have. And goals can change, yeah, in time. They're not going to always be the same, depending on the opportunities that you have, and the limitations and so on. It depends on you as a person. Okay, so your music career goes well, and you're well renowned now, and now you start to make money. That's when you have to be like, let's say that 5 years down the line, you actually start to make really good money. That's when you have to be financially disciplined, to remember the old days and not really, be greedy, and don't forget where you started. Because money doesn't change people, it actually amplifies their personality. Okay, so that was the first or second chapter I forgot about sticking to a career. Now, regardless of if you changed your career or you stuck to one that you have chosen before, there's something called a career hiatus that I've actually took after 10 years of working in the same kind of industry areas. And what's that? That's a career break, where you reevaluate yourself, you take some time off, you do some other things, you enhance the transferable skills that you have, or you develop new skills for a new career. There are people who are changing careers in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s even, but in the 60s they're almost close to pensioning, but we're going to involve them as well, because a career, even if it means that you have worked in a bakery your whole life, and all of a sudden that urge that you had since you were a little kid to write a book or to do handcrafts, if that reignites or that has never been extinguished, then you can go for it and make it and turn it into a business. That's a new career. Now, let's say that you are in the same situation as me. After 10 years, you decide that you want to do something different. What do? Well, first of all, create a safety net. What I mean by that, make sure that you are able to sustain yourself financially for about 6 months to a year, which means that will involve having some money saved or having the safety of your family. And I'm going to give a very famous example here. Stephen King, which is a world-renowned modern writer, horror writer, he had to rely on his wife for a few months or something to finish his, I believe, his first book. And now he's a famous writer. He's pushing out, I think he's able to write a book in 6 months, which from my experience, writing a book is quite a task. But he was lucky enough that his wife agreed and took the risk to let him, to support him and trust him that he was going to do something good with that book. I'm not sure which book it was, because I don't really read Stephen King, but I did read it, and I read On Writing from him. Another example of people who have been supported by those around him is Brandon Sanderson. Here, I think it took him 10 years to write the first book of Stormlight Archive, which is The Way of Kings, which is an amazing book, by the way. And he had the support of his friends and family until he published it, and it's one of the probably best books that I have ever read. And I'm actually, as a side note here, I'm rereading it at the moment, and I'm going to buy the rest of the Stormlight Archive. It's quite interesting. Okay, so you're taking this break, and you don't want to be a nurse anymore. You want to work on customer service because you saw the receptionist being very nice to people, and you are a people person, and you like to help others. Then that requires, you've already about 90% there. Is it the same industry that you want to work in, i.e. medicine, or is it something else? Because if it's something else, then you need to learn specifics of that industry. But let's give another example. Let's say that you want to start coding, and you want to go through university again, but there's some variables that you have to think about. For example, and I'm going to give this again from someone's experience. They wanted to become a model, but they were almost in their 40s or mid 40s, and that didn't really work out for them. It was quite hard to land a job, but they decided to get onto a business path in terms of developing their own clothing brand and so on. Again, someone I met at a short course at the university, or people starting handcrafts and so on. There's plenty of examples with handcrafted stuff. Even YouTubers. Again, I keep mentioning them. Impulse SV. He worked in a tech company, but his passion laid with Minecraft. Eventually turned this into a full-time job. If you eventually end up in the career that you want, I'm very happy for you. Keep up and do your best. What makes you happy? Because nowadays there's jobs that are going to be replaced by AIs, which in some places of the world that might not be the case because of technological advancements or people being quite resilient against AI development. But again, another story for another day, later on in the year. So you're happy with your job, or you're starting again. Let's say that you're starting again. What are the prerequisites? What are the steps required before you start again? Well, as I said, make sure that you have enough transferable skills for a new career. That's going to help you breeze through the learning process. And bear in mind, and this is something that I'm trying to learn myself. I'm quite an organized person, and I like schedules. I like taking notes, making Excel spreadsheets. I was an Excel spreadsheet wizard. I've programmed my own to do anything that I wanted it with the Visual Basics and so on. But there are jobs that I've done that didn't require that, and they were actually, think on your feet, think fast, think really, really fast, and adapt in the moment. And although I'm quite adaptable, sometimes when the job is too chaotic, I cannot handle it, and that's okay. There are some people who can handle chaos on last minute, and they cannot stand schedules and Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that, because as individuals we vary from one person to another. So if you're starting again, make sure that you find a place that you're happy with, a career that you're happy with, and then you can go from there. And having worked in another industry before, in another career, that can help you boost, because a lot of managers that I've met, a lot of people in high positions in companies that I work for, their past experience didn't have anything to do with the industry that they were working in, but they were put up there. Why? Because they're adaptable. And this is a main point that I want to bring here. Be adaptable, because that helps push forward your career. And what I mean by that, if you have worked in a highly advanced company or industry, then you bring some of that skill set to your current industry, which is lacking a bit, you're going to be seen as someone who is irreplaceable, and you're going to make quite an impression. And I'm not trying to give any examples here, but let's just say that I've met people who I thought, like, this career path should have been impossible, but they've done it. And without any extra qualifications, they were just, like, I want to do it. I want to get out there and crush it. Because they had one thing that was quite crucial: adaptability. When you're changing your career, don't be stuck to your old ways. As a side note here, there will be some careers that don't require you to have a degree. And as much as people might hate me for this, if you're working in business, the only way to do business is to learn how to do a business, how to start a business from scratch. My experience, having have interacted with students and having done some courses, some business courses myself, and having spoken to teachers, to university teachers, and from people who own businesses, a business degree, what's going to do is get you to do research. I met a business teacher who was actually teaching business for a salary of about, I don't know, he went for the most minimum salary, which was something ridiculous, like $1,000 a month or something like that. He was doing it part-time, yes, but you're like, oh, I don't need the money. I kind of, I'm bored. I have some free time and I'm bored at home. I don't really have a degree in business. I don't really have a degree in anything. It's just that I've started learning from others at a young age, and I've had good mentors around me. And yeah, he agreed with this point. And he was a good teacher as well. Like, he knew a lot of things that were required for his degree, because otherwise he wouldn't have been able to get hired or something. He was actually well looked at by students who wanted a supervisor teacher for their research projects. Okay, back on track. Another discipline that doesn't require a degree, in my opinion, is arts. Yes, you can learn about your art style, from what I've interacted with people, usually an art degree, and this is from what he told me. I wish I would have like a reference, because I'm still stuck with. I still hold a bit of trauma with like giving references and biographies and stuff like that. But lot of these people told me that the first question they're being asked, what's your style, or what are you going to be drawing today? And here are the techniques, and you should present your portfolio or character design from many angles by Thursday. And then I'm like, yeah, I think everybody can learn that online. Yes, it's good to have a mentor, but how important is to waste your time for 4 years into a degree that can learn at home or while doing something else? Might take you a bit longer, and probably you won't have exposure to the industry professionals, because that's what degrees are mostly for in terms of this kind of disciplines that don't require a degree, is for you to network with business professionals. But let me give you an example. Michael Reeves, who is a well-known comedic robotic enthusiast, he doesn't have a degree. He's learned everything from YouTube. And a lot of people are going to say the classical Elon Musk or whoever, they've made millions and billions and they don't have a degree, they don't have education, formal education. But you have to think about one crucial thing. Not everybody is them. And there are some other variables that we don't really know about that have contributed to their success. You want to be your own person with your own skill sets and with your own interests. Don't let anybody on the internet tell you what to do. Now, you've achieved all these points and mindsets, and you've changed your career, stuck to your own career. What then? You are in your career. Well, do your best. Simple as that. You're going to have competition, you're going to have ups and downs, but always do your best. And don't forget your mental health. Don't forget your physical health. Don't destroy you for a career. That's crucial. Second of all, if you're not happy where you are, there's nothing wrong with the change. And if you do want to change, make sure that you have a safety net. Make sure that you're pursuing your dreams, and that you're staying on top of what you're doing. Even if you're staying in your career, do your best, look after yourself, and look after those around you. And as the last thing that I would like to mention here, follow that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's a lot of resources regarding it. So that was all from me for this episode. Our recording session has come to an end. I hope that whatever I said here might help anybody, or might help someone, or might make you think a bit, regardless of which stage of your career you might be in. Because these were the strategies, tips, and mindsets that have helped me across the way for about 10 years now. What I can leave you with: always do your best, stay healthy, stay happy. I promise I didn't steal that from Dr. Mike, it just came to my head. But follow good examples. If you don't have a good example around you, be one. Drink some water, if I didn't say that already. Thank you very much for being around. Take care and goodbye.